This is using commas, part 4. Part 4's lesson will involve interrupting words. As in this example, my brother, a sports nut, owns over 5,000 baseball cards. A sports nut is just a little nugget of information, a few words that are helping to explain my brother a little bit more, but they're really not necessary to the sentence. It's interrupting the flow of the sentence, so I'm going to put commas around it, after brother and after nut. Here's another example. My sister, on the other hand, dislikes all sports and collects figurines. Now, on the other hand isn't describing my sister like it was in the last sentence where it was describing the brother. This is just an interrupting phrase, kind of like a by the way, and so it needs commas around it as well. You try a sample. On Friday, my day off, I went to get a haircut. Where would you put the commas? If you said in front of and after my day off, then you're correct, because that's information that is interrupting the flow of the sentence. Now, you want to be careful because you need to know if this material, these interrupting words, are essential or non-essential. Essential means that they are needed for the sentence in order for the sentence to make sense, and you don't use commas. Non-essential means that it is not needed for the sentence to make sense, as in the previous examples that I gave you, and so we do set it off by commas. Here's an example. Daryl Wilson, who lives next door, won the javelin throwing competition. Who lives next door would be set off by commas because we don't need it to tell us who Daryl Wilson is or who won the javelin throwing competition. The fact that she lives next door is not essential information. It's interesting and can certainly be there, but it's not essential, so we put commas around it. Now, if it had said, the woman who lives next door won the javelin throwing competition, we'd have a different situation. Here, who lives next door is telling us which woman won the javelin throwing competition. It's not the woman across the street, it's not the woman down the hall, it's the woman who lives next door. In the previous sentence, we had a specific person, a name, and so we didn't need an identifier. Here, the woman who lives next door, that information is identifying which woman. It's essential information, so we do not need commas. All right, you try. Here is a sentence. Decide what are the interrupting words. Are they essential or non-essential? Do you put commas or not? Here's the sentence. Wilson Hall, which the tornado destroyed, was 90 years old. Where do you put the commas if you need them? If you said that you needed commas around which the tornado destroyed, you are correct. We don't need that information to identify the hall. Wilson Hall, it was 90 years old. The fact that the tornado destroyed it is interesting. It's not essential to the sentence. It doesn't tell us which hall because we can tell that Wilson Hall is the one. Now, what if I change the sentence to say, the building that the tornado destroyed was 90 years old? Do I need commas or not? If you said that I did not need commas, then you are correct. Because now the word building is too general. It doesn't tell us which building. So that the tornado destroyed is identifying which building I'm talking about that's 90 years old. It's essential to identifying the building, therefore no commas are needed. All right, let me give you some practice sentences and see if you can figure out where the commas go, or if they're needed at all. Here's the first one. My sister, who's afraid of the dark, sleeps with a nightlight. If you said you needed commas around who is afraid of the dark, then you are correct. Now, I guess if you had two sisters and needed to identify which sister you're talking about, you'd leave the commas, or you'd take out the commas out, but in general, It's extra information, so you would not need it to identify the sister. Here's another one. The patient, as he gasped for air, tried to assure the hospital clerk that he had an insurance card somewhere. Where, if anywhere, do you need commas? If you said it goes around as he gasped for air, you are correct. Here it is just totally non-essential information. We don't need it. It interrupts the flow of the sentence. It's not identifying the patient. It's just extra information. So we don't need it. You set it off by commas. Here's another. I love to cook and eat Italian food, especially lasagna and ravioli. Do I need commas? If so, where? If you said that I needed one after food, you're right. Especially lasagna and ravioli is extra information that's not necessary, so we set it off by a comma. Here's another one. This is the last one, actually. The handball court that has a sign-up sheet by the door must be reserved. Where, or if anywhere, do you put commas? If you said that this sentence is correct, you're right. That has a sign-up sheet by the door, actually should be in red also there. That entire clause there is telling us which handball court we're talking about. Okay, it's not, the first handball court. It's the one that has the sheet, the sign-up sheet by the door. We needed to identify which handball court we're talking about, so we don't need the sentences. I'm sorry, we don't need the commas. So therefore, this sentence is correct. And that concludes your lesson on using commas with interrupting words.